Let's check out some new fragrances from Fragrance World and Armaf today. Hey guys, I'm George, the nice medic gentleman, and it's time for your dose of some fragrance content. It's time for me to share with you some of my early impressions, early experience with two relatively new releases from the brands of Fragrance World and Armaf. The one from Fragrance World is called Kohl, and the one from Armaf is called Mandarin Sky Elixir. And I'm going to start with this one, which comes from the brand of Fragrance World. I'm going to start with this one because from my early impressions, I'm a little bit on the fence on this one, whether I like it or not really. I'm not really digging it that much. That's because of the way that this scent profile comes across, that I'm not really sure where I'm enjoying that much. That has nothing to do with the quality of the fragrance itself. Now, this black presentation, the completely blacked out bottle with a few golden accents and box and black bottle should tell you that this is a pretty dark and maybe somewhat challenging scent profile. That gives it away, and it does indeed smell a little bit challenging and definitely quite unique. A very quick look at the presentation. This simple looking black box with the name of the fragrance on the front. On the back you get additional information, 100 ml bottle size and EDP concentration. And then there's the bottle design that I actually kind of like a lot. It looks kind of elegant in this almost completely blacked out color with again some small golden details. The cap is plastic but has somewhat of heft to it. You get a secure click with the cap itself, and then this is the sprayer. It's actually a pretty good sprayer that almost feels pressurized. I'm going to spray it on my right arm. I've opened up this one a few days ago, I think like 3 days ago. I've already given it 1 or 2 full wears, just to gather some experience with this fragrance. Now, both of them are clones, of course, as you would expect. This one is a clone of Black Lacquer from the brand of Tom Ford. That's a relatively new release. It was released last year. Now, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I've tried the original only once, like almost a year ago. I think it was at the end of last year. So I can't really tell you how close this is to the original fragrance, percentage wise and all that. But I will tell you that this definitely brings some vibes from what I remember the original fragrance smelling. Now, the original was this very dark, very smoky, kind of strange smelling fragrance that definitely smells challenging, it definitely smells unique, and definitely smells niche in my opinion. And Kohl actually, in a way, does things very similar. Now, the original has some strange notes like ink and vinyl, I think, and whatnot. Whether those are real notes or not, I have absolutely no idea. But this one definitely has a bit of a plasticky smell to it, a bit of a plasticky feel that's combined with the smokiness that this one has. It's not overly smoky fragrance, but definitely has a strong smoky vibe. Combined with that plastic may give off a little bit of like a burnt plastic type of smell. This also feels very spicy, very peppery in the opening, to be more specific. Maybe there's a hint of booziness and just a hint of sweetness, especially on the dry down. Also, there's something a bit dry with this, something a bit woody, dry, woody with this fragrance, and I also pick up a sort of a green element to it as well. Overall, the scent profile is definitely not one of my most favorite ones. Again, this is definitely more on the challenging side, definitely more on the unique side, especially in the opening. The dry down is a little bit more, I would say, ordinary, if that's the right word to use. Still though, even on the dry down, this is quite unique and challenging, but the opening is where I find this one to be the most unique and most challenging. And as I said, I'm still a little bit on the fence whether I like this one or not. But if you like this dark, spicy, slightly smoky, slightly green, slightly woody, slightly boozy fragrances, if you like to wear something dark and unique and challenging, then definitely this is an interesting choice. an interesting candidate for such a fragrance. Just keep in mind that in my opinion this one should be sampled before you buy it, unless you're very familiar with the original fragrance and you know the original and enjoy it very much, then you can safely buy this one. But in any other case, definitely try to sample this one. That will be my advice to you. Performance wise, so far from my testing, it's been a good performer without being anything special, and by good I mean above average. So far from my testing, probably it's been giving me around about 7 hours of performance, with initially quite strong projection in the first 1 hour, then it starts to sit closer to the skin. But keep in mind again that I've opened up this bottle like a few days ago, so it's a pretty new fragrance. When it comes to the price, I think this goes for something like 30-35 euros here in Europe, so you're looking at around about $30 to $40 in the US. Slightly more expensive than some other fragrance world scents, but as I talked about in one of my videos last week, I've seen a slight increase in pricing across the board when it comes to Middle Eastern brands. Still though, compared to the price of the original fragrance, which many people think it's way overpriced, this looks like a fantastic deal, because this just costs a fraction of the price of the original one. And when it comes to versatility, I would say this is a masculine fragrance for sure, that leans to the challenging side and is definitely more appropriate for the cold weather. And now let's move on to the other one, the one that I actually found to be a little bit more enjoyable. I got this one yesterday delivered to my door, so this is the second day that I've been owning this bottle. It's called Armaf Mandarin Sky Elixir. You know, why not do an Elixir flanker to another fragrance from this lineup, which is simply called Mandarin Sky. A very quick look at the packaging and the presentation, like a bright orange and blue color combination with just a hint of silver and black here and there. The bottle size here is 100 milliliters. The concentration is EDP. Again, all fragrances from this Odyssey line are supposedly limited editions, although they're widely available, so I don't know what's the limited about them, but that's a story for another video. And then this is the bottle design, the usual very goofy bottle design of the Odyssey line, which is looks like a flask, or I don't know, like a cup or whatever, plastic cup, but at least it's a very snug fit. You get a strong secure click. And then on my bottle, at least, this actually has a good atomizer. I've seen some people complain about the quality of their atomizers. At least the bottle on mine is good. Again, a few quick sprays, and the scent itself. Now the original Mandarin Sky from this lineup was a clone of Jean-Paul Gaultier's Scandal Per Homme, and this one is a clone of Scandal Per Homme Le Parfum. So we got a clone of the flanker. So we have a clone of the original fragrance from Armaf, from the very same line, and now we have a clone of the flanker. Now this is not an exact clone, but definitely this smells very close to the original fragrance, with a few minor differences. If you are not familiar for some reason with the Scandal line, you know, it's a sweet caramel based line of fragrances that's very sweet, almost sticky sweet, with a bit of freshness and a bit of airness in the opening, and lots of sweetness on the dry down. That's pretty much the easiest way to describe how this one smells. But what Armaf have done, in my opinion, at least from my very early testing, is that they've taken a few bits and pieces from another famous fragrance, this time around from Paco Rabanne, which is called Invictus Victory Elixir. They've taken a bit of that sort of on coconut vibe that you'll find in Victory Elixir, a bit of the incense that you'll find in Victory Elixir, and they've mixed it up in here with the Scandal Le Parfum scent. And the end result is very nice. Now, this smells a lot like Scandal Le Parfum, with a hint of you know, Invictus Victory Elixir in it, which means it's a crowd-pleasing scent. That it smells nice, it smells sweet, modern and sexy. Basically the easiest way that I can talk about this scent. There's an interesting mandarin note with this fragrance, which adds a bit of freshness in the opening, but also feels kind of candied and like a dried up type of a mandarin in a way, which doesn't feel overly fresh. It just adds a bit of sweetness and just a hint of dryness in the whole scent. But other than that, it's like vanilla, tonka bean, caramel with a hint of incense. Basically, that's how this smells, and a hint of coconut as well. Overall, a very nice fragrance, a very enjoyable, modern, sexy scent. It smells pretty similar to the original fragrance, and the quality seems to be pretty good, I would say. This was a nice surprise. I'm not the biggest fan in the world of the Scandal line, but I cannot deny the fact that Armaf have now a total of 3 very good clones of the Scandal line. We have the original Mandarin Sky, which is a clone of the original Scandal. We now have this one, which is a clone of Scandal Le Parfum, and we also have a clone that's called Checkmate the King, which is a clone of Scandal Absolute. So basically they've covered the whole line, and all 3 fragrances are absolute bangers if you like the original scents, in my opinion. Performance so far from my experience seems to be pretty strong straight up out of the box. Also, this seems to project quite strongly. In my first wearing, this gave me around about 8 hours of performance, which is I consider to be very solid for a brand new bottle. And also again, this projects quite strongly. For example, it projects better than the one from Fragrance World, which is to be expected because this is a lot sweeter. Price wise, I got it off Nutinus website, I think for around about 27-8 euros, so around about 30 something dollars. It's not so good of a deal compared to the price of the original, unlike let's say this one, but still it still costs like a third of the price, maybe even less than the price of the original fragrance. So if you like that scent profile, this is a very good alternative so far in my opinion. And versatility wise, another cold weather scent, masculine cold weather fragrance that's definitely more orientated towards the nighttime usage, I would say, and feels youthful. In general, both fragrances seem to be very interesting. As I said, I'm still a little bit on the fence on Kohl, whether I like it, I really like it or not. I'm going to reserve that opinion for my full review in a couple of weeks' time, when I give it enough time and enough wearings. But when it comes to Mandarin Sky Elixir, this actually was, I think, I wouldn't say a love, but a like for me straight out of the box after the first spray. So this is a so far seems to be a very nice fragrances. And that's pretty much all I had for today's video, guys. I hope that you found today's video interesting or useful. As usual, if you did, give it a like, and I also hope that you're going to join me in my next video for your dose of some fragrance content. And until then, stay safe and bye bye.